Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well and welcome to this brand new update on Bitcoin. What I want to do in this video is draw your attention to a particular chart of Bitcoin that very few people are paying attention to. And I want to explain to you why this could be very important for us in the next several weeks and months. And I want to explain to you what history can teach us as well about what's happening on the chart of Bitcoin at the moment as well. All right, guys, join me. Alright guys, welcome back. Now we've got a lot to talk about Bitcoin in this video, and I want to explain to you what's happening here on this chart. But before we do that though, I just want to first of all mention something very important, because this first section of the video is going to be very important to how we proceed further. Very recently, just a few days ago, I asked all of you a very important question. So in my poll, I asked you, what do you believe is the true purpose of technical analysis? And by the way, majority of you got this right, because it's not about the purpose of technical analysis. It's certainly not about the first one, making predictions about the future. It's not the second one either. It's not about confirming your expectations. And it's not the last one. It's not about voodoo magic or anything like that. But it is the third one. So identifying possibilities and probabilities and reducing risk. And by the way, 82% of you got this right. So well done to you, by the way. Well done to you if you got this right. So basically, in a nutshell, technical analysis is about three things. The trinity of possibilities, PO, probabilities, and risk, reducing risk. I call this potpourri.
Potpourri?
Yes, exactly as Dale Boy says there. So guys, when it comes to technical analysis, it's not really about looking into a crystal ball to try to figure out what the future is. I know it's possible some of you watching this video right now, maybe you have the perception that's what technical analysis is about. It's about making accurate predictions or about finding certainty on a chart. I'm sorry guys, but if you believe that, then you have the wrong perception of technical analysis and you need to work on changing your mindset and your attitude towards chart analysis. Because as we know, the markets are chaotic systems, which means they're non-linear, they're unpredictable, and they're sensitive to initial conditions. So essentially, there's absolutely no way to have certainty about anything on the chart. It is only about these three things that I mentioned: possibilities, probabilities, and reducing risk. So going back to our chart here on Bitcoin, let me just play for you what I said a month ago in my video on how long this bear market could last back on the 24th of January. Here's the clip. Again, I do not expect this one either, so that also I'm ruling out as well. So for the moment, I'm ruling out as less likely, and indeed this one I think is improbable at the moment for this year anyway. So these, in my view, are less likely. So that means my higher probability expectation is this one you're seeing here, a short-term bear market lasting a few weeks or a couple of months. So that is, I think, what we're dealing with right now. I think this particular bear market we're seeing here on Bitcoin is going to be short-term, not a long-term one and not a medium-term one, but more likely to be what we're seeing here, the first option that we're seeing here, short-term bear market lasting perhaps a few weeks or a couple of months. It may actually be sooner than a couple of months. And I think we could see capitulation on Bitcoin perhaps soon. I do think that's likely to happen. All right, guys, welcome back. Now, the way Bitcoin has been acting lately, it is beginning to look more probable and more likely that indeed that potential bear market on Bitcoin is looking to be very short term, lasting only a few weeks at best. Now, of course, there's no certainty of this, but it's beginning to look more probable. The chart picture is beginning to look at least more positive. We've broken several resistance levels here. However, guys, I'm not trying to say to you that I know this for certain. There are no certainties here, but at least the chart picture is beginning to look a little bit more optimistic and more positive. However, that's what I want to talk to you about on this chart. So this chart now on the monthly time frame is going to be absolutely important going forward for the next several weeks and months. And this chart can tell us a lot about the possibilities, the probabilities, and the risks involved here on Bitcoin in the next several weeks and months. So let me explain to you what this chart here is telling us right now. Notice that on this monthly chart, what Bitcoin has done here is now pulled back quite nicely here, is pulled back to that 21 monthly EMA. Okay, that's the blue line here on my chart. So as you can see here, it's nicely pulled back here and made a nice landing here at the 21 EMA. That's the blue line here on my chart. And it's managed to bounce off at the moment here on this February bar. This is the monthly bar here. It's managed to bounce off nicely from this level. It's managed to hug this level here. As you can see, the wicks on this chart, they managed to hug this level nicely and bounce off from this level. This is a key level on the chart. In fact, here's an example for you in the monthly chart of the stock market. The stock market also has done something very similar in the past. So you can see often the markets, in fact, predominantly all major markets do this on the monthly time frames. They come back, and they pull back, they test the 21 monthly average, and then they bounce off from that level. The Dow has done this a number of times in the past, pull back to the 21 EMA and bounce off, and then pull back to the 21 EMA here, and then boom, bounces off, and then pull back to the 21 EMA here again, and then bounce off, as we can see here. So this is actually a very interesting and nice pattern that forms often on almost any chart out there. So going back to our chart on Bitcoin here on the monthly chart, what's happening here on Bitcoin at the moment here is a bit like, I watch a lot of videos about airplanes landing and taking off. I find it quite interesting. But again, often what price does is after a nice rally, after a major big move, often price, again, like a magnet, it gets drawn back, pulls back to the 21 EMA. Again, it's a bit like an airplane coming nicely down for a nice soft landing there, a nice soft landing on that airstrip, and then imagine that airplane then taking off again, a nice smooth takeoff. As we can see here also that Bitcoin has done here, pull back to the 21 EMA and then nicely bouncing from here. So it appears as though that airplane is now beginning to take off again from that airstrip, the 21 EMA. If you're a pilot watching this, then you probably appreciate all these analogies. However, guys, the bad news is that in the past, in history, Bitcoin doesn't have a very happy relationship with the monthly 21 EMA, and I'll show you why. Here's an example for you on the monthly chart of Bitcoin back in 2018. So as you can see here, after a nice major rally that we saw here back in 2017, again from 2015, 2017, it then pulled back, as you can see, pulled back like a magnet, back to the 21 monthly average here, as you can see there. It held the 21 EMA here temporarily, as you can see there briefly. It held it for a few months. And notice how Bitcoin is then bouncing off from that level, as you can see from this green bar. So notice how Bitcoin pulls back to the 21 EMA, 21 monthly average there, and then bounces off from that level, which, by the way, is a positive sign. So that's a positive sign there. It's a good sign. It's a healthy sign that perhaps, as long as it could have held on to that 21 monthly average, there was still a chance for that bull market to continue. However, what actually happened afterwards was this. Notice that after it touched base with the 21 monthly EMA, look what happened afterwards. It then fell. Again, a sustained move occurred below the 21 monthly EMA and below the support levels here. You can actually draw a line here. I draw a horizontal line right at that level there where Bitcoin touched base with the 21 EMA there, as you can see. So that's our support level there, just near the 21 monthly EMA. And then Bitcoin, a few months later, broke below that level. Essentially, we saw a sustained move breaking that support level just near the 21 monthly EMA from which it bounced from initially. Okay, guys. By the way, I'm not showing you this to tell you that's what's going to happen next on Bitcoin. Okay, that's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is these are possibilities and probabilities we need to consider going forward. I certainly hope it doesn't happen this way. Okay, because what happened was this, guys. Notice that what happened was after Bitcoin then took out that 21 monthly EMA, essentially by breaking the supporting structure here. So when it broke that supporting structure near the 21 monthly EMA there, we saw an extended bear market. So the bear market just continued for a further few months. So essentially, this is going to be very important going forward for Bitcoin. So by looking at historical data on the chart of Bitcoin, this can give us potential important clues for Bitcoin going forward. All right, guys? Now, let's have a look at this over here in 2019 and 2020. In 2019, something very similar happened. You can see Bitcoin pulled back very nicely, back down to the airstrip here at the 21 monthly EMA here, bounced off. You can see it bounced off with this green bar. And look what happened a few months later. It then took out that supporting structure just near the 21 monthly EMA. As you can see in 2020, we saw a sustained move below that level, below that major support level, and also below the 21 monthly EMA, resulting in a more extended and a deeper drop, as you can see there with this candle bar wick here. And by the way, the same thing happened back in 2018 as well. When it broke the 21 monthly EMA here, we saw an extended and a deeper drop. All right, guys? So be aware of this as we move forward in the next few months on Bitcoin. Let me show you this as well. It's a 2014 on Bitcoin. Now, here you can see in 2014, Bitcoin also, again, after a strong move up, you can see it pulled back down again, pulled back nicely. Although it didn't touch the 21 monthly EMA at first, came very close to it. It then bounced off a little bit here, as you can see. But then look what happened here. If we just draw a line across that, we just draw a horizontal line across that supporting structure there, look over here. Notice that Bitcoin then broke this level. We saw a sustained move here below this level, and then we saw also a deeper drop and an extension of that bear market. So the bottom line is this, guys. The bottom line is that whenever price cannot hold on to the 21 monthly EMA after it bounces from it, so after we see a bounce or a green bar from the 21 EMA here, when it falls back below the 21 EMA again, a sustained move below the 21 monthly average here results often in a much more deeper and also an extension of the bear market. So that's something worth bearing in mind going forward, because if we have a look at the chart of Bitcoin right now, so again, what do we see here? So essentially the last several months of the correction, of the drop we've seen on Bitcoin, all right, guys? So that's brought it back, as we can see here, it's nicely brought it back like an airplane, back to the airstrip here, Okay, then it held this level, bounced off from that level here, as we can see. So far, so good. So here's the bottom line, guys. I don't want to say that just because in the past Bitcoin has not had a very happy relationship with the 21 EMA, just because in the past Bitcoin has come down to 21 EMA, then bounced up and then broken below it again. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen next. Remember, we're dealing with a probabilistic and a chaotic system. There are no certainties that the same exact pattern can repeat here on Bitcoin. All I'm saying is that just like in 2018 here, okay, if we draw a line across that bottom here, just near the 21 monthly average, what we're saying is if Bitcoin were to drop and see a sustained break of the 21 monthly average and the support levels here, it increases the probability of an extended bear market and a deeper drop. That's what we're saying here. It's essentially about risk. Okay, so what we're talking about here is reducing risk on the chart. All right, guys. So that's why we're looking at these key levels. Going back to the monthly chart of Bitcoin right now. So what we're saying is this: as long as Bitcoin can protect that level of support near the 21 monthly average, as long as it can remain above that support level, which is approximately about 36K. Okay, that's the lows of the month, about just approximately near 36K. All right, guys. As long as Bitcoin can remain above that level, we can actually draw a line, a horizontal line at that level right now. Let's just do that. So we just draw a horizontal line there at the lows that we made there, just near the 21 monthly average there. So provided that Bitcoin can protect that support level there near the 21 monthly average and near the monthly lows near 36,000, that could be a positive sign, a healthy sign for Bitcoin, because we pulled back to the 21 EMA here and then bounced off from that level. And again, technically that's a positive sign. It's a good sign for Bitcoin, provided it can remain above that support level, above the 21 monthly average and the support lows of this month. And also provided Bitcoin, here's one more thing, as long as Bitcoin can give us a solid green candle by the end of this month, that's very important, by the way. If Bitcoin can now give us, by the end of February, a solid green candle, and I say solid green candle, not one of these candles over here, okay? I don't mean one of these, okay? So I want to see a solid green candle here on the monthly chart of Bitcoin by the end of February, and provided we're still above the support level here, again, the 21 monthly EMA and the 36K level here, then that's a good sign for Bitcoin. That's a sign that perhaps bulls can potentially remain in control and that likely we could see an end to the bear market a lot sooner. And that's only if Bitcoin can remain above that level of support that I just mentioned, near the 21 monthly EMA and the lows of this month here. And also, as long as it can give us a solid green candle by the end of this month. All right, guys. Now, as I mentioned before, if on the other hand, Bitcoin were to do something like it did in 2018, if we saw a repeat of 2018 and 2014, for example, let's say, for example, Bitcoin instead, let's draw a line across this low here and the 21 monthly EMA. If instead Bitcoin were to break the support, all right, guys, now I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Bitcoin, it's an if, but if Bitcoin were to break this support level here at the monthly lows and the 21 monthly EMA here just near 36,000, then a sustained break of that support level could increase risk quite significantly to the downside, like we saw in previous examples. In other words, guys, if this support level were to break, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, if that actually happens, then it could increase the risk of a much more deeper correction and a more extended bear market that could last several more months into this year. All right, guys, so I think the next several weeks and months could be very important for Bitcoin and how it handles this important area near the 21 monthly average and this supporting low here that we formed on BTC. Again, I'm going to remain optimistic and positive on Bitcoin unless Bitcoin proves otherwise and unless it breaks that support level there. I hope this video has helped. Make sure you watch the members video as well, because in the members video I've covered the Elliott wave picture on Bitcoin in quite a lot of detail. So go ahead and watch that. And by the way, the link to join and become a member is right there for you. Thank you very much indeed. I look forward to seeing you in the next video update. Bye for now.